Guys, I'm here, I'm live. Stay in line, hold the line. I'm just adding, I need two more numbers and then I go live. Give me a moment, wait. You can hear me breathe, that is a good sign. And as long as you hear me breathing, you will see me as well in a moment right after. Colegas. So, okay, those numbers are hopefully correct. Okay, now I have it. Damn. Okay. Whew. Okay, those numbers are fine. And the last one, guys. The last very simple one. Shares diluted. Ah, yeah, I got it. 489. Okay. Aye. Taking a sip and the show starts in 3, 2, 1. A sense of capital. Aloha, ladies and gents, welcome back to a new episode of A Sense of Capital Life Earnings. Your host of today again is Julian, and I'm very glad to have you again in, because just before I back the earnings results Q2 2025 of gambling.com. Actually, I'm not that happy with the performance, but that's another story. Now we focus only on new holdings, new bank, the digital banking and financial service provider out of Brazil, active as well in Mexico and in Colombia, where actually are the roots located of the CEO, David Velez. Is it correct? Not sure. You can check it by yourself. However, I'm very glad to have all of you in, and as always, a quick disclaimer before we jump into the results. That in the upcoming minutes that will not be financial advice, consultation, whatsoever, and there is no guarantee for correctness of the provided data, so make sure you check out and screen the numbers, the information in the reports by yourself, and not relying on me or other people who share their opinions through, for instance, YouTube or Instagram or social media or wherever you are active in. And do your own financial decision at the end, because it's your own future and you need to live with the result. So the company we will back today is New Bank. Here you can see the website, at least part of it. And I mean, with New you have different services, which you can see here. We have you pay, so payment function. You can buy crypto. You have, of course, a credit card. You can have your bank account there, getting loans, putting deposits on this account, all of this kind of stuff. Different technologies behind it. That is what New is doing, and New is basically revolutionizing how banking is executed and provided, because it's one of the digital largest banks. I think the largest digital bank outside of Asia, outside of China. And you need to know that a lot of people in Latin America, for instance in Brazil, where their home market is located, are underbanked or unbanked, and New is changing this aspect. And there are only, let's say, a bunch of big banks, like 5, and all of them have stores. They are very selective in terms who can be their customers and what kind of fees they take. And this is, I think, very different since New is active. IPO took place 4 years ago, I think. And yeah, so far so good, I would say. And now we jump straight into the results. I mean, I opened the sheets here, as you can see, and here, as you can see, and here you can see the summary. But I already, as I always do this, prepared an Excel sheet to enter all those information, what I did in the past minutes. And so we will work through the Excel sheet to save some time and display the results a little bit more structured and have a chance to give it a final rating at the end. Okay, we start with top line growth, and guys, that's a bump. That's a bump for sure. I mean, forecast was $3.16 billion and they achieved $3.67 billion. It's a $500 million beat. Yes, I mean, currency exchange rates, Brazil real, euro might be a case or an aspect. But still, I mean, look, my expectation was 3.4 billion to be satisfied, let's say like this. And why? I wanted to see a beat on the same level. 1 year ago, Q1 to Q2, the forecast, they beat the forecast by $250 million, and actually it developed from Q1 to Q2 by 150 million. That is what I want to see here as well. So 3.4 billion, as you can see here. But they crushed it, 29% year-on-year revenue growth on a not that small anymore bank. Yes, it's a new bank. It's a new bank. It's a digital bank, but it's not like an established business for 200 years or something like this. Yeah. However, crazy result, crazy result. And I mean, for me, New is a revenue growth play. That's the reason why I'm invested in this company, and to see this kind of growth rates makes me happy, makes me smile. Yeah, especially like after a not that great call what I covered an hour before. Okay, let's check out what is going on with earnings per share. And I mean, you can see the history here, for instance, on investing. Oh, no, I closed it. On investing.com. And you can see revenue, they don't have big issues with it, even though this beat is a strong beat. Okay, numbers are not in yet here, but a lot of times earnings per share, so bottom line, they just cover the expectations or even missed them, like the past quarters. So from my perspective, I don't expect huge beats here. I'm just happy if they can cover it. I mean, they are making sure they're really creating a huge customer base, creating loyalty, customer loyalty, commitment, and then soon or later reducing costs and increasing the fees and the revenue they take by each of the customers. And so that they achieve 0.13 US dollars, it's not really like a banger, positively surprising, but it's okay. It is really okay. I need to say it's really okay for me. And again, revenue is way more important for me in general in terms of new, and this kind of big achievement, amazing. Really amazing to see, because sometimes when you check out the history, these huge jumps in terms of forecasts and actual results have been sometimes larger in the past, let's say 1 or 2 years ago, than now. And this kind of 500 million beat, it definitely creates some hope, even though again currency exchange rate might be an aspect. However, yeah, so oh, that's not correct. Q1 is not correct. Wait, give me a moment, please. It was uno momento. Okay, so let me check the old sheet. Just want to enter the right number. Okay, so and actually make a quick screenshot so I'm not forgetting it. Going back into the new Excel sheet, sharing it, there it is, and adding the number, which is 3240 Okay, perfect. Definitely a record quarter. No doubt about this. Crazy. I mean, especially when you consider the revenue jump Q1 2024 to Q2 2024. So 1 year ago it was roughly 100,000 and now it's 400,000. Oh, crazy stuff, man. That's really the kind of core investment you want to have your money in. I mean, I always need as well my gamblings, my bets, which are a little bit more risky. But new is really a core investment for me, and I'm not planning to change this very soon. Same with Grab, actually. Grab and new, for me, the essential pillars at my 5-stock investment portfolio. Okay, however, we can see past quarter year-on-year growth was 19%, now 29%. I already mentioned, very, very positive. Now we check out what is going on with the profit side, and we take care of the net income. And for me, more important, actually, I mean, absolute number is nice, but I want to see that they stay efficient and getting more and more efficient. That's the reason why I set the focus on not a net income margin. And you can see past quarter year-on-year growth was 3%, now 0.3%. I mean, yes, still 17%. They have been 18%. They have been on 19% in the past, as you can see here. 17% seems quite solid, even though I would love to see it's getting larger. Yeah, that's not the case. Still increasing, and I mean, there's a certain ceiling. They don't want to get too greedy and still offer good conditions for the customers, not taking that much fee, for instance, high interest whatsoever for their loans, for the debt they are collecting. And so I think it's okay. It's okay. Not really nice, but okay. Let's check out what is the annualized, so the real yearly return on equity. Very important number, I've heard, in terms of banking. And we can see past quarter 4% year on year, this quarter no development at all. So it is 28%, it was already 28%. But what I like to see is it's re-accelerating compared to the past quarter. Yes, there might be some seasonality involved. But again, I like that it's getting re-accelerated. And that as well gives me a neutral rating, even though it's not growing year on year, but at least quarter on quarter. That's okay for me. So profitability so far, so good. Let's check out what is with the customer growth. Customer growth, very important. I mean, they are already kind of reaching, or let's say it's a matter of time when they reach a ceiling in terms of Brazil. Not every grown-up person in Brazil can be the customer of Nu. I mean, it can be the case if they provide the best conditions, reputation is good, good service, you feel comfortable to be their customer, you trust them, you can take the complete market, theoretically, let's say like this, but realistically is another story. So let's see what is going on with their big primary market. And I mean, past quarter they grew by 14% and now they grow by 12%, just very regular, I think. I mean, this growth will go down and go down, there is no question about it. On an absolute scale, you can see it's still 2.5 million roughly new customers just in Brazil. And that's not that bad, that's not that bad. I mean, it was definitely better 1 year ago. You can see it was roughly 4 million more. Here we had 4 million, we had roughly 4 million. So a lot of times this 4 million jumps, then 3 million, 3 million, 2.5, 3 million, and now again 2.5 million. Yeah, so okay, let's do it like this. I mean, it's just very regular that they reach the ceiling. The jump from, how much is it, 3 million to 2.5 million. Yeah. I mean, it's part of the story, we need to live with it. I think I should not complain about it, and news should suffer because the jumps are not that high anymore. I think it's neutral. It has a negative touch for sure, this rating, the growth, the customer growth in Brazil. Maybe more important is that they are active actually, so they keep the customers active and basically productive for out of the perspective of Nu. But yeah, not crazy good, for sure not. It's okay, almost negative for me, but I keep it as neutral. Now we take a look at the customer base in Mexico, the rising star, the market which is attached with high hopes. And you can see here we're talking about a whole nother level of growth. I mean, we have 67. I mean, yes, Mexico's as well confronted with huge challenges, especially by the international policy and politics and strategical setup of Trump and the US administration, and bringing back factories from, for instance, Mexico to US. However, we saw past quarter 67% growth, and we see now still 54% growth, which looks okay. I mean, you can see these jumps are more or less very stable. I mean, almost 1 million, or even more than a million, a bit more than a million, a bit more than a million, a bit more than a million, and now 1 million. Not crazy. Okay, wait, this is what I rate negative. I mean, we want to see it's growing, and it is growing, and I'm sure they can accelerate, the management can accelerate this more heavy if they like, by granting better conditions, for instance. It's very easy to create more revenue as a bank. It's more about how sustainable then your existence is as a bank and your business case. But however, what I want to point out is Q1 to Q2, 1 year ago, they grew by 1.2 million and only now by 1 million, let's say only, but yeah, that's the case. And that is not that nice. I'm not sure. Let me check quickly if I can find other numbers. Wait, a little bit more detailed numbers. Maybe surpassing 12 million customers, because I've just seen basically that they surpassed them, but I don't know how many customers are existing. No, I can just find this 12 million. Customer growth, yeah, 12, it is exactly 12 million. Wait, I can share it with you. Here you can see. And this is the number we are looking for. Yeah. Okay, however, this is, I would love to rate it differently, and I think that leaves a negative touch in terms of the overall impression so far. But yeah, the rising star, the market where a lot of potential is hopefully existing, is very likely existing, didn't develop that crazy good past quarter. I would to see a quicker acceleration, and that's not the case, and therefore negative rating. Let's see what is going on with Colombia. And I mean, we had past quarter 230% growth, now roughly 210% growth. So really, really high numbers. But again, if the fundament, which you compare to like 1 year ago, is not that strong, it's not that surprising actually. But if you ask me, that looks very, very good actually. Because I mean, here you can see 100,000 growth, no growth at all, 400,000, 700,000, 500,000, 500,000, and now 1 million. That is lovely to see. That is for sure, that balances a bit out the situation in Mexico. Of course, Mexico, you can see it here, is way larger with roughly 130 million citizens. Population of Colombia is roughly 50 million, so almost 2.5 times the market. But still nice to see that they're getting that much traction, and seems like even though the market is smaller, people even jumping quicker on it. Yeah, might be the case that the underbanked status and the unbanked status is a little bit more stronger in Colombia than Mexico. However, customers in total, and that, I mean, looks solid if you ask me. 19.4% growth past quarter, now 17.6%. Keep in mind how many customers they have, 123 million. Yeah, so that is nice at the end. I mean, you can see past this development here, 4 million up, and now 4.5 million. That's okay. It's not slowing down that heavily. And imagine that Mexico would maybe even add 500,000 more or something like this. That would be very, very nice actually. Unfortunately, not the case. But now, however, this 5 million jumps is okay. Yes, they sometimes grew quarter on quarter, and again, seasonality might be a case, but even 6 million. But I think that's cool. That's really cool. Or that's okay, at least. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Nothing negative. Nothing negative at all. I mean, yes, Mexico need to switch the pace sooner or later. I think a lot of investors want to see this. Otherwise, they are not happy. We can see that there's a lot of potential left in terms of the population. I mean, Brazil, they cover already 50% of the whole population, not of just adults, so grown-up people, really of all of them. Yes, in Mexico already 10%, in Colombia already 8%, but there's some room, there's some space left for sure, at least in Mexico, I want to see. Which is as well a kind of further developed market. Okay, now we check really out the banking specific numbers, or let's say more banking specific numbers. So we have the activity rate, it's very simple. So how many of this 123 million customers in total are active? Because only active users and customers will add revenue. And so it's 83%. It's a bit lower than past quarter, but honestly, it's on a real higher number. What kind of rating I grant here? Difficult one. I mean, I would honestly see that that they keep their level and that they lowered it, so I give it a negative rating. It's really strict. I need to say I'm really harsh here. But yeah, that's okay. Because we come to the next number, that's the RPAC. That's the average revenue per active customer. So again, 83% of this 123 million customers are active. And now we want to see how much revenue they created in the past three months. And you can see here, that is huge. And that's a major reason, very likely the major reason why they achieved this, or this 500 with currency exchange rate maybe as well. But why they achieved this this crazy high revenue per customer. Maybe they rolled out new services, new products, yeah. But however, that's very strong. And you need to know that they can't change the activity rate that easily, but what they can change is for sure the RPAC. And I think the more established banks, especially in Brazil, I think they achieve an RPAC of, I think, something like $25-30, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of room left to improve and to grow into this footsteps. However, that is already a very strong one with $1 up. Very good one, no doubt. Okay, let's go on. And now we want to see, okay, what we know, how many are active, we know how much revenue per active customer getting achieved, but now we want to know what about the cost to serve those customers, all of them, not just active ones. However, we see it here, it's a bit higher, but that's very low. Again, they don't have any stores, no branches, this kind of stuff, yeah. They keep their company structure, staff structure very efficient. And that's the reason why they're working with this record low cost to serve. I think this, on the other hand, is something like 10 times more at established banks, if I'm not mistaken. So very low. And again, I don't want to see that's increasing, but it's maybe part of the story. It's very harsh again, but I rate it negative because actually the absolute number of $0.8 is extremely low. And even if it's $1 or 120 or whatsoever, it's still, I think, very low. Again, keep in mind what kind of revenue they're achieving on the other hand. However, I need to do what I need to do, or I must do what I must do, and this is being strict here. And as soon as it's getting higher, I rate it negative. Even though if the absolute number is not that negative. And now we check out what is going on with the net interest margin, the KPI actually in the banking business as far as I know, and I'm not a true banking expert, but on the other hand, I'm invested into this company since 2.5 years. It brings good performance and can't complain. So far it's working well. Yeah, but however, banking business, to analyze those kind of business, very challenging, and so I can only scratch the surface, let's say like this, but at least I try. And what we have here is the net interest margin of 17.7%. not like an all-time high, but at least again re-accelerating, nice to see. So here we rate it as neutral. And now we check out what is going on with the default rates. So basically the NPL, non-payment loans, or the, let's say for instance here you can see 15 till 90 days. So the payment is on overdue by the customer for since 15 till 90 days. So let's say those non-performing loans, in which case the person who needs the loan, needs the money, is missing the payments, paying it back. It's still in 15 till 19 days is quite realistic that they get their money back later on. But 90 days plus, you can imagine, that's not that nice. So definitely we want to see that both numbers are as low as possible. And the first one you can see it's decreasing, that is nice to see. So we grant here a positive rating. And then the 90 days up NPLs, so non-performance loans or non-paid loans, we have 6.6, so that's up, that's not nice. So here we grant a negative rating, and so overall we grant a neutral one. I think that's a simple one, nothing what we need to debate too much about. And now we want to see and take a look at the shareholder valuation, or at least how much they take care about us, the shareholders, and about the shares we own, and if they get diluted and how much. And of course there's some dilution going on. You can see here stock-based compensation, shares of revenue, and we can see past quarter it already went down by 0.2%, now by a 1.2% minus. That's great. I mean 3% is not that much. I mean it's a profitable business, yes, and they're making money. I'm not sure. It's just very regular that you, for instance, your top management, your C-suite, you grant shares as motivation to basically put your money where your mouth is, let's say like this, yeah, and being more ambitious as a manager to achieve the results for the company. So that's very regular, and 3% is not that high. Again, it's low. It's a bit higher than past quarter compared to 2% past quarter. Now 3%. On the other hand, it is 1.2% lower than 1 year ago. So Q2 2024 it was 4%. Now it's 3%. So it's a mix. It's a blend. For me, it's neutral, and neutral is fine there. It's not the most relevant number for new, but at least you want to take care, not that from one quarter to the other they're pitching very high numbers and we're missing them, in terms of stock-based compensation. However, I mean, look, we had already here this green to yellow with a more green touch, because again for me green is revenue is very important. And now here we have, let's say, a neutral rating in terms of profitability and in terms of the customer base growth. A little bit more with a negative touch, because again Mexico is very important for me. Yes, Colombia is developing better than expected, but on the other hand would love to see that customers in Mexico following this path, and doesn't look that crazy, even though 1 million more customers, not that bad, whatever. Activity rate, cost to serve, all of this is on a high level and complaining on a high level. On the other hand, the revenue per customer developed very strong, very, very strong. I'm not sure if it ever developed that strongly, at least not in the past 2 years. Net interest margin is re-accelerating. So all of those numbers are neutral, but actually very okay, because that is complaining on a high scale again. So, and then we have the stock-based compensation, that's neutral as well. So I mean, in this case, I think neutral, we can put this neutral stamp, the neutral rating on it in terms of the details. And then we have here a neutral to positive result. So overall, it's a neutral rating, a neutral verdict for today in terms of the earnings results. But honestly, neutral is for me neutral because I always have high expectations. Again, I'm expecting already a higher achieved revenue result than the forecast. Yeah, and I always want to see it's really developing in a strong direction, very linear almost. Yeah, and if that's not the case, I rate it already neutral or negative. So for others it might be positive, and I definitely need to point out, yeah, that this revenue result is very, very lovely, very, very lovely, and I don't see any red flags so far, like big red flags. Yes, they provide a lot of details, and don't hesitate to check out by yourself the presentation slide deck, but this overall looks very solid. I can live with this very, very well, I need to say. So now guys, let's check out what is going on with the stock price. I already checked it out before and was like 8% up, and now it seems like it's still more or less untouched. Again, 8% up, and 8 is a lot, because don't forget, it's not a small company. It's not on the other hand, it's not a company with which every investor knows. I mean, it's getting more and more popular, especially in the past 6 to 12 months. It developed great in terms of reputation. But on the other hand, it most of the time dropped. It most of the time dropped on the day after the results and after market, basically. After market has closed, or post market, as you can see here, and that I never experienced it went up 8.3%, and again, I'm invested since 2.5 years. So all of these big jumps, I experienced them, or many of them, yeah, many of them. So this one, investors share their opinion, is a really big one, and I assume again, yes, a lot of details are fine, but Colombia looks very well, and especially simply the revenue development is crazy good from my perspective. Let's see if we have already some information here on Seeking Alpha in terms of the results. Oh yeah, looks good. Great news. Let's see if the stock finally rises after a year of consolidation. Yeah, it seems to be the case. New versus SoFi. Yeah, classic. And originally, honestly, guys, I was invested in New and SoFi, and I've decided for New because of the market, because of the region, Latin America, the potential as well, Argentina, Ecuador, Chile, all of this, what is existing there, Venezuela, a lot of interesting countries for me as well. I like the Latin American market just personally, so I want to be invested there, and as well there's not that much competition compared to all this established on-site, classic, traditional and digital banks in the US, for instance, or Europe, for instance. Yeah. So on both for a few years now, New may be a little bit more value, but geopolitical issues are a little concerned, the main thing holding it down. Yeah, true. I mean, politics in Brazil, are, for instance, or in general Latin America, are not that stable, and as well, currency exchange rate is a big aspect. Yeah. This is a good company planning on holding these Liberation Day meltdown shares until they at least double. Great conference call with impressive slides showing significant trend advancement across the board, up over $1, and afterwards hopefully we'll get to $14 plus in next week. Yeah, I mean, I'm very confident though. I'm very confident, might be too much, but it's okay for me. And you see, oh my other position, 60% down game, so it's a zero play, you know, 8% up, 16% down, a bit larger position, a bit smaller one. This is such is life, guys, such is life. However, I mean, that's it. Again, for me, I rated neutral. very convinced by the revenue development. Nice to see, very delicious in Colombia as well, performed quite juicy. But that's it already. I keep it very short because again it's already the second stream. And guys, let's take a quick look into the future. What is left for me in terms of this earnings season? And you can see 4 companies, gambling.com, Grab, Hinson Hearst and Nu obviously is already covered. There's only one left, which is SentinelOne Cybersecurity out of the US. It will release their results end of August, specifically 28th of August. So I think after market closed, feel free to join. I would definitely appreciate if you use the chat and interact with me. It's always a pleasure. And guys, as always, if you like what you have seen, feel free to like the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram. Makes me very happy, makes me satisfied. That's nice and doesn't cost you anything, but even maybe create some value because you're not missing anything anymore. No stream, no portfolio updates. All of this is included for free, so would appreciate if you join. And other than that, guys, thank you very much as well. As always, and most important, and I already told us roughly 1 hour ago at the last stream, more important, more essential than money and stock market is your social environment, your health situation. So take care of your health, take care of your beloved ones. And guys, see you next time, latest 28th of August or Q3 2023, new earnings results. Bye bye and cheers. A sense of capital.